Welcome everyone to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2021 Q&As. I'm Rita Christian. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to comment and ask any questions you have for the filmmakers, and we will try to answer them during our session. We also would like to thank all our ttff 21 sponsors and partners. NGC is our signature sponsor, and this year we have leading sponsorship from Shell Trinidad and Tobago and Republic Bank Limited, as well as contributing and supporting sponsorship from the NLCB and Sport and Culture Fund, respectively. So today, guys, I have UNCONTROL, the film by director Mannon the Reeper, and Near-Death Experience, a film by Jill Sauvant. I hope I didn't butcher the names too much. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
No, not at all. You did a good job. Thank you. Thank you. This is great.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for joining us. Jill, I would like to start with you. Your documentary is entitled Near-Death Experience. It's not only about the nearly fatal accident you experienced, but a look at your career challenges, lack of political representation for Caribbean French people, and a declining population in Martinique. What was your intention for making the film? Why did you make this film?
So, as many people last year in 2020, I knew lockdown. And I was in my house. It was in the west of France, in a city called Nantes. So this was for me a long time, but I had time for cleaning my house, and so I could watch many footage, many personal footage, and then I decided to edit some of them, and this became this new movie with many pictures I didn't shoot last year or recently, and that's why I decided to make a new movie. Of course, at the beginning, it was about my life, my accident, but it was, I'm not used to making movie about me. I don't like that only. So this was just the beginning. And after, of course, I decided to talk about my life in France, in Paris, and my life in Martinique, and the present situation of Martinique and people from Martinique in France also.
All right. Mannon, this short, entertaining horror film, because this is a horror film, right, guy? Right? All right. So this horror film was shot during the pandemic. What were some of your challenges in making this film?
Oh, it was definitely a challenge. So this was, for me, also the first film I ever directed. So that in itself, to me, was quite a challenge. And I never expected that I would also be doing that in the middle of a pandemic, obviously. And so there were a lot of new considerations that we never really had to consider before. So we had been in deep lockdown at that point for 7-8 months. And now going onto a film set with 12 people in a confined space, we had, like, to me, it was very, very important that no one was going to catch COVID on our set. So we had some, extra considerations and measures that we put in place. So we definitely had a COVID compliance officer. That was one. So we made sure that people were properly instructed on mask use and social distancing, and everyone was very prepared to stick to those guidelines. And another thing that I wanted to do as well was make sure that we had shorter days on set. So we only shot for 8 hours, and more hours are very common for film sets, but I wanted to make sure that everyone was healthy and well rested so that all of our immune systems were, as good as they can be within that space. And it took us 2 days to shoot the film. So those were some of the considerations.
Well, that was very responsible on your part. So congratulations.
And no one got sick, so we were very happy.
All right, that's great news. Jill, you talked about having scripts rejected throughout your career, but you persisted anyway. Any advice for filmmakers experiencing the same defeat?
Of course, it's very difficult to start when you want to be a director. You have to prove many things. For example, in French West Indies, such as Martinique or Guadeloupe, you have to write many scripts before getting some raising some funds, and this is so very difficult, and many young promising directors, they give up before even making one movie, and that's very sad. I can say maybe as I started 20 years ago, it was maybe a little easier to make at least one documentary movie, and after two, and after other ones. And so now, if I can say I had advice for a young director, is just, I think now the cameras and even the microphones are a little cheaper. So you can, especially for documentary movies, you can shoot easily. And so try not to make the most, I don't know, the best film in the world that, when you just start, you cannot be already very good. You make mistakes, and that's normal. But that's the way you can attract producers and many other people that will help you to better your movies. So my advice is to, of course, to start maybe a little by yourself, but after meet in festival like TTFF, of course, but meet most and more people and discuss with them, and also, of course, watch other documentaries, because with other directors you can learn many things.
Oh, that's great advice. So just go for it. Just do it. Embrace your mistakes and learn from others, and collaborate like how we are collaborating right now. That's, just such great advice. Mannon, tell me about the character's disorder in the film. She kept knocking the door, right? She was suffering from some kind of psychosis. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell a story about mental health. So I personally have a background in academics and psychology. So it's always been a major fascination of mine, and like how the human brain works and functions, and also what can go wrong in that. And that is something that always really interested me from a very young age, especially in stories and especially in horror, because I think it's such an interesting genre that we can show these kinds of issues in, and actually also bring attention to some of these problems. Because for me, it was very much also a statement about the mental health system and how, in particular, the American health system treats Black women and mental health. They generally get a lot less treatment than other people in the US. And so for me, in that, I wanted to kind of highlight that and that it is a very solitary thing to go through. And so my character, Abby is her name, and there's no dialogue, so she isn't actually named in the film, but her name is Abby. And she actually suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder. And so she is very afraid of what is outside, and that is why she keeps knocking the door. And rather it is about what is on the inside for her that is truly very scary.
All right. Now she saw a demon, and the demon looked exactly like her.
Spoiler
so
alert.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
No,
but
that's all right.
Was that a metaphor for something?
So yes, it is the same actress that plays the demon as well, and it is basically how what it stands for is that we can be our worst enemy, our own worst enemy. And something that came to us as well is that we wanted the demon, who we, by the way, like among our crew, called the demon mother. She's basically there to also steer the character, like scare her, but also show her that, she has reached rock bottom and she needs to change what she's doing and basically get help. And so that it's basically her fears coming to life, and she is seeing herself in a wholly new way, basically.
All right, excellent. Jill, why was it important to show a lack of political representation for French Caribbean people?
So I was born in Paris, in France, but I lived, for example, 4 years. I worked 4 years in Martinique, in French West Indies, and after even 4 years also for working in French Guyana, where I had my car accident in 4 years. And for example, when you were born in France, in Paris, but for example, my mother was born in Martinique. 15 years ago, there was not one deputy elected in France that came from the ex-colonized countries, French countries such as Martinique, Guadeloupe, or French Guyana. So for many people thought at that moment that it was impossible to be elected if you came from West Indies or Africa or even China. This was not for you in France, but things changed. So I wanted to just focus on that, because I think now the situation in France is very different. There are many, even Black deputies in the National Assembly, many senators also. So, but many people forgot that. That is only, 15 years ago, that was totally different. And so I wanted just to recall that and just show how the situation at that moment was hard for many people and how it changed during the last 15 years.
Yes, it's very informative. That part of it, very, very informative, and can be used as a tool of reference in doing research. I find that very, very helpful. There's a term that stood out to me, Jill, Mako. Yeah. What is it? Tell the viewers about it. And do you consider yourself a Mako?
Yeah, but maybe just a nice one. So it's in Creole, but French Creoles, even in Haiti or in Martinique or in French Guyana or in Guadeloupe. So first, it was in French. It's a word for women. It's not Mako. It's maquerelle. Macrel is a woman that speaks a lot and can often say anything about people, and so you have to be very careful with that kind of woman. But even in Martinique, there are men like that speak a lot, and that can be very annoying. But you have to be careful with those people. But now for a long time, they don't scare anyone. So maybe now we can laugh at them, and so that's why I use that type of that word in my movie, because it was in the song that I used. Yes. It's a traditional song, in what we call in Martinique belé, and it's just to focus on that type of person that you can meet very often in Martinique. But for my movie, yeah, it's the song is coming back very often, just to introduce my own voice and my own thinkings about, yeah, you can say about politics, about Martinique, about the difficulty to direct movies. So this was for me a way to not to be too serious, because what I wanted to show was, of course, serious, but this was a way to not to be too serious, to express it.
Okay, it was expressed beautifully with the music and the imagery and then the language. It was very well done. Mannon, tell me about yourself as a filmmaker, for those that are just meeting you for the first time, our viewers here at the film festival. So I want to know more about you, and tell me about your future projects or even your past projects.
Absolutely, yes. So I was born in the Netherlands, and I've lived in Australia and the United States, and am now sort of living in St. Lucia, at least for a little while. And I'm a full-time sailor, so I live on a boat. Normally, I'm not currently on a sailboat, but that's where I normally live. And so I've been traveling through the Caribbean and getting to know the Caribbean a lot more intimately, which I've been really, really enjoying. And as for filmmaking, I've been working in the horror space for a while now. So I'm a screenwriter. I've been working as a screenwriter for a while, and now also transitioning into directing. So this my short was my first short that I directed, and I'm also currently working on bringing a feature film that is loosely connected to Uncontrolled to life. So that is called Detain Me, and it's also a story about a woman who is dealing with psychological issues. And I'm also working on a graphic novel project with a bunch of other women that's going to be extremely cool, and it's been greenlit. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It's about a bunch of women of color who are, they have psychic powers, and they basically have to save the world. And it's a really, really cool project that I'm looking forward to sharing with the world. And this weekend, I am participating in a 48-hour horror challenge. So I and a crew of people are going to be shooting a short film of 5 minutes within 48 hours, and we're not even allowed to write the script yet. So I'm on standby to write the script, and we're going to do everything from writing to post within 48 hours. So I'm very excited about that, and hope to be able to share that with the world as well.
Exciting stuff. Jill, how can we see your other films?
So
where can we access it?
Yeah, I got a website with some just little pieces of my movies. So it's www.palavirene palavir.com. So you can see many of my last movies, and many are subtitled in English, so that the way you can see them. And if you can write on on this website, there is my email. So if people want to watch more, they can write me, of course.
Oh, thank you so much. And guys, we're out of time. This was an absolute pleasure. This is actually my last interview for the festival. It's the last day for the festival, and it's such a pleasure looking at your work and being able to meet with you and speak with you was an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much again for joining us. And for those looking right now, we just want to thank you. And don't forget, you can catch all the great films as they're screening today. So check out the ttfilmfestival.com website, where you can find all the information on how you can buy tickets and check out, well, the rest of the films, guys. That's it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
so much.